About 2 months ago, Apple released the Ultra 2 and the Series 9, but with it, there really wasn't a standout feature other than the pinch feature that separated it from previous models. The problem is that feature wasn't even available on launch. Like, we had to wait about a month to actually get access to this feature. But since then, we now have access to it. And is it really worth it? Now, before I get started, I do want to mention that the old watches did have this accessibility feature. It's still on the Series 9 and Ultra 2 as well. And that's more meant for somebody that just doesn't have access to their other hand. Maybe it's not fully functional. Maybe they just don't have one. And it's just a way for people to be able to access all throughout their watch, step by step, section by section. It's not fun to use. Like, it's not pretty to use. It's like you got the pinch, you got double pinch, you got clasp and double clasp or whatever. There's all these actions that you have to do to just navigate through your watch. I mean, it's great if you have to use it, but if you don't have to use it, I don't know. People seem in the comments, they seem to love it, but every time I've tried it, it just gets on my nerves. So this pinch feature is something completely new. Now, could it be used on the old watches? Yes. I honestly believe it could. There might be some animations there that wouldn't be as smooth, and maybe that's why Apple decided not to put it on there. But is the feature worth it as it is? And no, it's not. I've tried the pinch feature. It's nice. It's a nice little add-on, but it's not really useful. The problem is it doesn't do enough. This feature was definitely added last minute. I don't know what was going on internally with Apple, but maybe they had a different feature planned. Maybe they wanted it to do more and they just ran out of time with all the VR headset stuff that they're working on. Whatever it is, they just couldn't come out. And I mean, just the fact that it was delayed for like a month shows you that they just didn't have time to do whatever they really wanted to do. So they came up with this feature probably last minute, threw it in there since they already had code that did some of it. And now the way it works is if you're on the home screen, you're on like the clock screen and you double tap, it takes you to your widgets and you can keep double tapping, double pinching, whatever you want to call it. And it will just navigate you through the interface of the widgets. If your alarm goes off, you can double pinch and you can turn it off. If you're using a timer, you can double pinch and you can pause the timer, restart the timer, that kind of stuff. Other than that, I don't know if there's really much other, like Apple, the big problem is that some apps you open it up and it does absolutely nothing. Apple apps and third-party apps. Third parties just don't even have access to do anything with it as far as I know. They can't do anything. It's not their fault. It's just the fact that Apple hasn't given them any kind of access to do anything with it. I would love to see Apple actually give third-party developers access to this and implement it in every single one of their apps. This feature should do something in every single app, and it doesn't make sense that it doesn't. And until then, it's definitely not worth it. Like, I've tried it, I've tried to get used to it, but I pretty much just forget about it because there's no real benefit for me. Maybe if you're somebody that has a small kid or you're always carrying a bunch of stuff. Like, I remember when my kids were younger and I always had them, lugging them everywhere with the Apple Watch. It was like I couldn't do anything, so you just use your nose. I even saw a nurse recently use her nose to start a timer. I'm like, oh, she could actually use this feature. For most people, in most scenarios, you're not gonna need it, and that's the problem. It's just not useful enough. I would love to see Apple actually change this feature to be more customizable. Give third-party developers access to it as well, but also maybe give users access to what they want it to do when they double pinch. Maybe if I double pinch, I want to get an action menu, or I want it to work like an action button on an Ultra on a Series 9. Stuff like that would be actually cool and useful. Like, I would use it all the time if it worked just like my action button on my Ultra did, but on my Series 9. Even if it worked like it on the Ultra, I would use that over the action button because it's funner. Like, it's really cool to see it work. Like, I love just double pinching. Like, it's just fun. But as of right now, it just doesn't give me any useful information or do what I want it to do. So, Apple, I really hope you kind of just rethink this. Like, you're doing great. Like, don't get me wrong. I love you. You're awesome. And you're doing a good job. But you could do better. And I would love to see, like, just give us customization, like make it work like an action button and just let us choose what we want this pinch feature to do, whether it does what you currently have it do, or we can just customize it like the action button on the iPhone and the Ultra. Something like that, I think, would be so much more powerful and so much more useful than what it currently does. And that's the problem. It's just a broken feature because it was a last minute add-on, and it in of itself is not worth the upgrade. Now, if you have an older watch, like you're on the Series 6 or below, Series 9 is totally worth the upgrade. Probably even go with a Series 8 and be totally fine and save some money. But if you are currently on a Series 7 or 8, there's really no reason to upgrade to this watch. Like, unless your battery life is just really bad and you want something with a better battery, which you can get your battery replaced on your watch for about 80 bucks, I believe, maybe cheaper. But that's been my experience with it for the last few weeks. It's nice, but it's not really that useful. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Also, feel free to hit that thumbs up. I'll see you in the next one. God bless.